Hello, students. This is an introduction to the essay Commonwealth Literature Does Not Exist. Now, let us try to understand what is Commonwealth. Commonwealth is the former British Commonwealth of Nations, that is, the political community constituted by the former British Empire and consisting of the United Kingdom, its dependencies, and certain former colonies that are now sovereign nations. Then, what is Commonwealth literature? Broadly, it is the literature of former British Empire and Commonwealth, including that of Britain. However, in practice, the term has generally been used to refer to the literatures written in English of the colonies, former colonies including India, and dependencies of Britain, excluding the literature of England. The term has sometimes included literatures written in local languages and oral performance, and it has been used to include the literatures of Wales, Scotland, and Ireland. The rise of the study of national literatures written in English outside Britain begins with the study of American literature, that is, the literature of the United States. But those literatures that came to be collectively studied as literatures of the Commonwealth were beginning to be considered within their own national context from the late 1940s onwards. However, the concept of Commonwealth literature as a separate disciplinary area within English studies began in the early 1960s in both the United States and England. Commonwealth literature is otherwise known as Third World literature. It has paved the way for the origin of post colonial literature, owing to the inadequacy in dealing with the creative writings of the Third World. Commonwealth literary studies focus on the form and style of British literature, thereby marginalizing the writings of the formerly colonized nations. Salman Rushdie, in his imaginary homelands, lashes his anger over the center, which excludes the literature of the Third World. British literature is separated from the literatures of the Third Worlds because their sacred writings would be contaminated by the bunch of upstarts huddling together under this new and badly made umbrella. I'm quoting from Rushdie's Imaginary Homelands. The Third World resisted such racial dominations of the center and sought to operate freely from another perspective. Rushdie further opines that Commonwealth literature does not exist as it remains far more peripheral to the problems of literatures in Canada, Australia, and even South Africa. Rushdie, in his definition of the term Commonwealth literature, displays his doubt in the stability of the category. I quote, "Common literature, it appears, is that body of writing created, I think, in the English language by persons who are not themselves white Britons or Irish or citizens of the United States of America. I don't know whether black Americans are citizens of this bizarre Commonwealth or not. Probably not. It is also uncertain whether citizens of Commonwealth countries writing in languages other than English, Hindi for example, or who switch out of English, like Googie, are permitted into the club or asked to keep out. Unquote. The term Commonwealth literature was used in the 1950s to denote the literatures in English which emerged from the colonized countries. This group incorporates the writers of the colonized countries, says John MacLeod in his Beginning Postcolonialism. The diverse communities with a common set of concerns are expected to reach across national borders and deal with universal concerns. The culturally different writers from different locations differentiate their writings across time and space. These writings in English are to be evaluated in relation to English literature with the same criteria used to account for the literary value of the age old English classics. Therefore, the Commonwealth literature lies at stake. This is the opinion of John MacLeod. Post colonial writers who follow the native traditions and values have contributed to its origin and thereby dismantle the hegemony of the West. The European yardstick has proved to be fatal to the cultural traditions of the othered third world. The West categorizes the third world based on their race, color, gender, culture, and economy. Resistance to these subjectivities and discriminations has led to the origin of post colonial literature, which celebrates the plurality of the cultures of the previous colonized societies. Rushdie himself celebrates this new genre as he says that the writers from these societies, which include the poor countries and deprived minorities, contribute new writings to world literature. He further rejoices, saying, "It is time to admit that the center cannot hold."